Hey guys, OP here, and today I'm going to be showing you the build that I use in WvW when I'm usually running maybe soloing, trying to find some 1v1 fights, or medium to small skirmishes, or zerging is what the game calls it. The build is a condition, damage, toughness build, so let's dive right into the gear. The gear we're going to be looking for is precision, toughness, and condition damage. Basically, the runes that we're going to want to use are Superior Rune of Afflicted. You only want 3 of those, because the final 3, scaling, you don't really need. 100 condition damage would be good, but create a Death Nova when you go down, and not so much in my opinion, and we don't have poisons. The next 3 we're going to be using are Superior Rune of the Crate. This gives you condition damage, bleed duration, which is the main source of our damage in the build, and plus 55 condition damage. For weapons, I am using a sword and board, what I like to call it, and my sigils are Superior Sigil of Earth. It gives you a 60% chance on critical hit to inflict bleed. Again, this is our main source of damage, so we want to maximize bleeds on the target as quickly as possible. Superior Sigil of Paralyzation. This sigil can go either way. I like it just because of the stun duration. A little more CC, never hurt anybody. Finally, for my longbow, I have Superior Sigil of Corruption. Gain 10 corruption damage each time you kill a foe. A lot of people usually just have a spare weapon in their inventory. They go kill 25 monsters, and then switch back to their main weapon. You can do this. I'm still currently experimenting with it, and I find that when I get into WvW, I do a lot of siege defense, or castle defense, tower defense, stuff like that, and I can get stacks very quickly, especially if we're wiping them. So, I mean, that's what I usually use the longbow for. Our traits that we're going to be using, we're going to go 0, 10, 30, 10, 20. This build maximizes, again, bleed duration and bleed output of damage. It also has a lot of survivability because of your such high toughness. You're going to have a little over 3,000 armor, and then you're going to be able to snare every time you attack with a immobilizing or a rooting ability, or slowing ability. Excuse me. So that's going to help with your sword 1 auto attack, because you have a crippling for 1 second. So it's not only going to cripple them, it's also going to immobilize them 1 second every 3 attacks you do, on every 3rd attack of your 1 skill of your sword. And then Savage Leap also goes off it as well. We'll get into that in a minute. And then 20 in Discipline is basically for fast hands and sigils recharging quicker, because you're going to be using 3 sigils, or 4 sigils in this build. So in arms, of course, you get Precious Strikes, 33% chance to cause bleeding on critical hits. Again, this is because we want maximum bleeds on the target as quickly and effectively as possible. And then you're going to be getting Deep Cuts. Deep Cuts is going to let your bleeds last 50% longer, which is crucial because of everybody running the condition damage reduction food normally in WvW. Thick Skin, extra armor when your health is above 90%, always good. Armor is great. Starting combat, you're going to take a little less damage, always good. Dodge March, incoming immobilized chill, and cripple durations are reduced by 33%. You gain regeneration for 3 seconds when you're affected by one of these conditions. 10-second diminishing return. Again, a good ability for initiating a fight, staying in the fight longer, because basically anything that goes on you is going to fall off, including when you have the condition reduction food. In 15 points, you're getting adrenal health, regenerate health based on adrenaline level. We will have adrenaline up, I want to say like 60% of the time max. You're going to be wanting to use your adrenaline finishers, because they apply a lot of condition damage, stacks. Cleansing Airy, getting adrenaline when hit, removing condition for every bar of adrenaline you spend. So you're going to be basically removing 3 conditions when you use either the longbow or the sword burst. Our armored attack, 5% of your toughness given its bonus power. Great. Gives you a little more beef on your auto attacks. Even though we're not going for initial auto attack crit or damage, rather than we're going for crits to put bleeds on targets and then going into defensive mode. Spiked armor, gain retaliation, 5 seconds retaliation when struck by a critical hit. Cannot trigger more than 15 seconds. This just helps in a fight. It's going to keep in the fight longer. It's going to also get some more damage on the other target. Moving to tactics now, we have 10 points in it. Basically going to gain 5 extra toughness per level while reviving. It just helps. I mean, you're not really going to be reviving a lot because you're a frontline person. That's usually the backline's job. But the reason why we put 10 points in is because of leg specialists. This is what I was talking about earlier, about when you are applying an immobilize whenever you cripple a target. That's great. It's going to keep them pinned down for you, continue auto attacking them with the sword, so you can do more bleeds. And finally, discipline. 5 points in discipline gives you versatile rage. Gain 5 strikes of adrenaline on weapon swap. We're gonna be swapping a lot. You're gonna be swapping. You're gonna use a whole one of your 2 weapon skill sets. You're gonna be swapping back to the other one and swapping again. So this is really good to have. Warrior sprint, 25%. You can go a bit different route. Gain. I mean, that's not very good. Gain adrenaline when using a shout. We're not using shouts. Gain Vulgar when using a stance. Again, we're not using a stance either. Well, we're using one stance. We're using Berserker stance. Again, when you block an attack, you might want to get that, but I personally like Warrior Sprint because 25% movement speed is pretty crucial in the field of battle. Fast Hand, swapping 5 seconds faster. It's great. It means you're going to be able to swap back and forth. Continue to keep the conditions up. Finally, Signet Master. Signets recharge 20% faster. This is going to help because we have 4 signets as you see on the bottom of the screen. Slot skills. We're going to be taking Healing Signet because it's pretty standard for warriors right now. It's a really good signet to have. Then we're going to be taking Berserker Stance. Basically, when you're going to start combat, you're going to want to pop this, because when you pop this, any condition it's put on you, they're going to be dropping off a lot quicker, which is going to help. And you're going to be gaining adrenaline a lot quicker, so you're going to be able to put out that burst real quick. Then we have Doliac Signet, reduces incoming damage, survivability. I cannot stress enough that World v World is about survivability. Berserker builds are great for 1v1ing 90%, 20% of the time. But World v World is not about going one-on-one with people. Yeah, it's fun. I've done it from time to time. It's about controlling your part of the map and getting the most points at the end of the week. So you're gonna want, in team fights and big giant zergs, you want to be as tanky as possible while still maximizing damage. And I believe that this build does it very well because of the condition upkeep. Our final utility is Signet of Stamina, grants faster endurance regeneration. You're going to be rolling, avoiding a lot of attacks, and then when you activate it, cure all your conditions. Excellent activation. Works very well. A lot of people are doing conditions nowadays. Signet of Rage, passive, grants adrenaline. It's going to help us with our finishers. And Signet active, gain Fury, Might, and Swiftness. You're going to want to pop this right when you get into battle. It's on a 48-second cooldown. If you're in a long battle, you're going to be able to pop it again while the battle goes. Alright, so that's going to cover... We got our weapons, we got our gear. So now let's go over the rotation. I don't have footage at the moment of me fighting anybody because in World v World right now we're pretty big Zergian servers. But I'll be getting a video out pretty soon about how this build works. But let me go over what you're going to do when you get into a battle. You want to usually start with your longbow. And the reason why you want to do this is because of pin down. Pin down is a massive amount of damage. You're going to be doing 12,000 damage of bleeds. That's amazing. It also immobilizes the target, but you don't want to lead off with this. If they dodge roll it, boom, that is a quarter of your damage gone. Not going to come out for another 25 seconds. Lead with Smoldering Arrow. Smoldering Arrow is a blind, so if you do land it, it's going to help because they're not going to be able to hit you. After you shoot that arrow, if they do dodge it, they're going to think that that arrow that you just shot was pinned down. They're not going to dodge Smoldering Arrow because it's very low damage and it's only 5 seconds of blindness, especially if they're trying to get away. If you land your pin down, you're going to want to use your 3, Arcing Arrow. Shoot it at them. And then use Fan of Fire. After you use Fan of Fire, you should have maximum adrenaline. You're going to want to use your F1 skill, or whatever key you have it bound to. Put it on the target. By then he's going to be moving now. Switch really quick to Sword and Board, and Savage Leap to them. Now they're going to be pinned down in your fire, taking increased damage. After you do that, do some auto attacks on them. Get those bleed stacks up. Once the bleed stacks are up, hit them with the shield bash. After the shield bash, switch back to bow. Your pin down should almost be up by this time. Arcing Arrow them, Fan of Fire, Smoldering Arrow, then pin down. Use your utilities accordingly. If you feel that you need a little more adrenaline, boom, pop 7. If you feel that you need stability, pop 8. Or however you have them set up. It's also a stun breaker. Make sure to use that. Don't get pinned down. Signature Stamina. If you're getting hit by a lot of conditions, pop that real quick. This is for a 1v1 basic fight. If you're in Zerg fighting, you're going to want to use a lot of the longbow because of the longbow's AoE and immerse AoE damage. It's amazing damage, lots of conditions. You're going to be doing some massive deeps. If you're in like a 5v5 fight, 10v10, maybe a little more of the sword and board tactic for putting people slowed, snared, stunned, so your team can finish them off. That is pretty much it with this build. Please leave a comment if you have any questions. I know that this was probably a horrible video. I'm trying this out. Please leave feedback. Positive, negative. It's totally okay. And if you have any questions for me, please leave a comment. Oh, again, I'm sorry about not having any footage of me battling, but I'm going to get that out in a day or two. This has been OP. Take it easy.